We are good now, Your Worship.
All right, then we'll call things to order. It's now 7:08, and I welcome everyone to the 51st session of Council on Monday, July the 12th. Welcome everyone. We have been in closed session since 6 p.m. and as I say, we shall call to order now. Welcome everyone. Noted we have been in closed session, and during that closed session, we received and adopted the minutes from May the 10th and May the 31st, as well as provided direction to staff with regard to a proposed acquisition or disposition of real property, and with regard to a labor relations matter. Right. We move to open forum. As usual, we do not have open forum during these virtual meetings, and I should note this is a virtual meeting. During these, all rules of order, conduct, and the Municipal Act are in force as if they were an in-person meeting. If there is a technical glitch that causes any member of council to lose connection with the meeting, we shall pause for a few moments to allow that member to reconnect. But assuming we have quorum, we will continue. And as has been my habit during this open forum, again, to the clerk, is there anyone who registered to be within the open forum tonight?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Worship.
Okay. By a show of hands, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to join? Seeing none.
Just for Your Worship as well, following the June 28th meeting for the request to appear as a delegation, that information was sent, but we didn't hear anything or receive anything.
Thank you. And moving forward in the agenda then, there are public meeting or notice of a public meeting. There are no notices this evening. So we look at the agenda. Are there any noted changes to the agenda? And from anyone? And can I look to, and I should say that both Councillor Gordon and Councillor Porter have sent their regrets for this evening's meeting. Okay. So on the agenda, is there anything to add? Seeing none. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Oh, sorry, to the clerk.
Your Worship, I believe there was a motion or an information communication that came from the county. Is that going to be under notice?
Actually, I did not have opportunity to reach out on that. Well, I think it will have to wait until the next meeting.
Okay.
So with that, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Councillor Townend, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Buderick. Any comment? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll move forward. We come to the minutes, 7.1, the confirmation of the minutes of the 50th session of Council on June the 28th. Are there any noted errors or omissions? There are none. Up to the clerk.
I just wanted to update that the minutes that were attached to the original agenda were the first draft, so they have been updated. So the minutes that are showing now are the correct version.
Thank you. Anyone else have any errors or omissions noted with the corrected version? And can I get a motion to approve those minutes, please? Councillor Parks, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Thank you. And any comment? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. 7.2, the confirmation of the minutes and the recommendations from the July 5th Committee of the Whole. We have the minutes before us. Are there any noted errors or omissions? Seeing none, can I get a motion, please? And I'll go with Councillor Townend and seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any comment from the mover or seconder? Anyone else? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Doesn't appear that there are any delegations or presentations for this evening. Moving under unfinished business, Office of the Chief Administrative Officer. We move to item 11.1 under business services. The appointment of the auditor for 2021 to 2023. And I believe Mr. Renier, the Deputy Treasurer, is here.
Yeah, you're stuck with me tonight.
Do you have anything to add to this report at this time?
No, Your Worship.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions with regard to the audit process? Seeing none, we have a recommendation to adopt the pending execution of agreement. And anyone wish to make that motion? Deputy, thank you. So moved, seconded by Councillor Budarick. Any comments from either? Anyone else? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Under item 11.2, the procurement of a fire pumper replacement. Okay. We have a report from the Business Services Department. And I believe the chief is here if there's any questions there as well. And does anyone have, sorry, Mr. Renier, do you have anything to add to the report at this time?
No, I do not. I was also just going to mention the chief's here if anyone had specific questions on how the process worked, but no, you did that for me.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for either the Deputy Treasurer or the chief? I'll go to the Deputy. Go ahead.
Yes, through you to the chief, I would imagine, but whichever, there he is. Just with this being a new process going through Canoe, I know in the past we've, with different equipment we're getting, we prefer certain makes, both for uniformity and for serviceability. Do we have any concerns with going down this path that there isn't the variety that we need to be able to spec exactly what we want to be able to suit our needs?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the Deputy. No, absolutely not. So under the Canoe procurement application, there was 5 different pumper manufacturers that have already pre-qualified for this. We looked at both E1 and Spartan because we have these units already. The vehicle we selected mainly because it met our criteria, plus the price was exceptional. This is an E1 built truck, which is the exact same type of truck that was the same manufacturer that built our aerial. But due to the amount of trucks they're producing, it's coming out on a Spartan chassis, which we already have 4 of them. So we're very familiar with the chassis and the make. So I don't have any concerns at all. The process was very time-saving for staff in this instance. We did look at some different products that are available, and some are good deals, some you got to be a little wary, but in the case of this truck, it was an exceptional deal. So,
okay. Anything else, Deputy?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions with regard to it? No? Then I'm looking for a motion for the recommendation. Councillor Budarick, so moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Parks, thank you. Okay. Any comments from the mover, seconder, anyone else? I'll just add that I'm glad to hear this Canoe process worked well for us for this. Okay. With that, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. And we move to Community and Customer Services Department. Item number 12.1, options for Amherst Island brush disposal. We have the director here. Ms. McFarland, do you have anything to add to the report right now?
Nothing further, Your Worship, but I am willing. I have questions, and our Public Works Manager is available if we need him.
Thank you very much. Council, do we have any questions with regard to this report? And I see no questions. I do note that the recommendation has some ors in it. So I'll ask Council when they make a motion to choose an or. And if there's no further questions, I'll take Councillor Townend for moving.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move to receive the report and adopt recommendation number 1, that staff be directed to continue offering brush disposal at the Amherst Island Waste Disposal Site during the normal hours of operation.
Thank you. So moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Budryk, thank you. Any comments?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Just my thanks to the Public Works Manager and the Community and Customer Services Department for doing this report, since I was the mover that requested it. Just in the interest of being able to have the Ward 1 public apprised of why the decision was made to move the brush pile in the first place, and what the various constraints and limitations are on brush pile disposal in general, and why it wasn't feasible to continue with the long-time status quo of being able to have a 24/7 brush pile. So I appreciate the work the Public Works Manager did in providing this report.
Thank you. Seconder comment? No? Anyone else have comment? Seeing none. Back to mover. Call the question. I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. We move to Corporate Services Department of the Township Clerk. We have a report before us with regard to the Code of Conduct contravention. And does the clerk have anything to add to the report at this time?
Not at this time, Your Worship, unless there's
Thank
questions.
You. Council, do we have any questions with regard to this? I'm seeing no questions. Okay. Again, we have a recommendation that requires some blanks to be filled in. Okay. Does anyone wish to make that motion? Councillor Townend, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I move to receive the report and adopt recommendations 1 through 3. In regards to 3, the wording I would propose for that is that council has reasonable and probable grounds to believe that Councillor Porter, a member of the Council of the Corporation of Loyalist Township, contravened section 11.1 of the Code of Conduct of Loyalist Township, and that the relevant findings which constitute the alleged contravention are detailed in a report from the Integrity Commissioner for Loyalist Township, MCIA application 2021-01, Councillor Porter.
Thank you. Does the clerk have clarity on that motion? Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Deputy, so seconded? Yes. Councillor Townend, any comment? No?
Only Your Worship, that I appreciate the clerk's report, that obviously the Integrity Commissioner required a bit more clarity from council as to the scope of what was requested for the Code of Conduct investigation. And I think what I've proposed should provide that direction.
Thank you. Seconder comment?
No, thank you.
Anyone else have comment? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. We move to item 14.1, commemorative road name request. Okay. We have the director from Economic Growth and Community Development Services here, Ms. Merritt, welcome. Do you have anything to add to the report at this time?
No, Your Worship, nothing to add.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions with regard to the report? I'm seeing no hands for questions. We have a recommendation before us. Right. Councillor Budryk, go ahead.
I think it's long overdue, and I would put forward the recommendation.
So moved. Do I have a seconder? I'll take Deputy Mayor. Right. Mover comment, other than it's long overdue?
Long overdue. I mean, fantastic man. Great for the municipality when he was serving. Long overdue.
Thank you. And seconder comment?
Just very well deserved. it's funny that on the farms here, this was the only local politician that was ever allowed to put a sign on the farm. That was the amount of respect that the family had for him. So it's, as been stated, it's overdue, but well-deserved.
Absolutely. Any other comments? Councillor Townend, go ahead.
Just to say, I definitely also approve. Full disclosure, Jack was my wife's great uncle, and so I know Betty Jean, and I know the whole family will be very proud.
And to that point, I've actually spoken with Mrs. Kippen and one of the daughters, and yes, they are feeling honored by this. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. We move to 14.2, official plan review status update. We have a report before us, and I believe we have both the director and the manager here to discuss. Okay. Do you have anything to add to the report at this time from either?
Yes, Your Worship. So if we thought it may be bring some clarification if we staff provide a very brief presentation on the update, if you would allow that.
And I would, and I see that you're sharing now.
Thank
all
you.
Members of council see the shared screen. I'm seeing nods. Sorry, just adjusting my screen so I can still see council. Right. Okay, go ahead with your review, please.
Good evening, Your Worship, the members of council. Yeah, I just wanted to provide a little bit of context how we got here, where we've been over the last few months. And then I will turn it over to Andrea to detail some of the final changes that are being made to the draft official plan as part of the comprehensive review. So I take us back to December 15th, 2000. Sorry, that should say 2020. I'm sorry. I just noticed that. We had at that meeting, that was a statutory public meeting. At the end of that, council passed a resolution for 35 amendments to the draft official plan, as well as a request for 3 reports. First being the impact of adopting Stone Mills's consent policies, options to address disparity between large and small residential units, as well as a list of official plan amendments and minor variance applications over the past few years. Moving forward to February 22nd, 2021, this was a committee of the whole meeting. Council passed resolution COW 2021-17, where staff presented an analysis of the 35 amendments, because in the December meeting, we didn't have the benefit of being able to comment on those amendments. We identified those that could be supported by staff, those that could be supported with some wording modification, and those that we could not support for various reasons. Staff were incorporated any comments. We were also instructed to incorporate any comments received since the December 15th, 2020 meeting, and circulate an amended draft official plan to all agencies and the public for review. Following that, on March 8th, there was another resolution passed. This one was 2021-43-7, and it amended the previous resolution. And basically, council instructed us to proceed only on those amendments that were supported by staff and those that could be modified and be adopted with staff support for circulation and public consultation. After March until about June, we began we had consultations previously, but we engaged more seriously with the county and the Indigenous community. The draft official plan with all those modifications that were supported by staff was recirculated to all agencies and made available. We have since then conducted several rounds of consultation with the Indigenous community. We have some final meetings set up this week, actually, to hopefully put the final changes that they are requesting into place. And at that point, we will be ready to come back to council for a final decision. And we will have to have one more statutory meeting because of the changes that have been made in the last 6 months. Taking us to June 28th, council passed another resolution which directed us to prepare a report, which you have on the current status of the official plan with specific references to any implications of the December 15th meeting referred to in the Integrity Commissioner's report and MICA application of 2021-01. So that's where we are right now. And I will turn it over to my colleague, Andrea, to just give you a brief description of some of the changes that have been made over the past few months and that we will be coming forward to council with.
Thank you. Ms. Furness?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So in regards to the various amendments that were brought forward at the December 15th public meeting, there were a total of 13 that were supported by staff. 9 were not supported by staff as they were proposed, but we did feel that there was some modifications that could be made to that wording. And 13 amendments were not supported by staff, and so no modifications to those policies were recommended. The rationale for staff's recommendations on these amendments was presented at the February Committee of the Whole meeting and is attached in the table to this report this evening. I should note that there were a couple of those amendments that were presented in February that we did not yet have a recommendation that we could provide yet, as they were policies that needed consultation with the Ministry of Agricultural, Rural Affairs. So we have since received a response from OMAFRA, and so we do have final recommendations on those amendments that I am able to share now. The first amendment was to change the minimum prime agricultural lot size from 40 hectares to 20 hectares. OMAFRA did advise that the provincial policy statement does speak to providing agricultural lots that reflect the uses that are common in the area. And they did note that for areas where field crops and livestock production predominates, 40 hectares continues to be the recommended standard and is consistent amongst other official plans in Ontario. So as a result, staff are not supporting this policy change and recommend the minimum lot size remain at 40 hectares. The next amendment was to permit larger scale agricultural tourism uses that are accessory to wineries, such as restaurants or larger scale accommodation facilities. OMAFRA was okay with that particular change as long as we framed it with some more specific criteria in accordance with the provincial policy statement. So we are supportive of making that change with modifications. And the last one that OMAFRA reviewed was the amendment to permit small-scale restaurants that are accessory to a winery and prime agricultural lands. And again, they were supportive of that change, if only looked at on a case-by-case basis, and we put some caveats around it, such as specifying that they have to be accessory and limited in scale. So as per their direction, we are supportive of making those changes as well. So as per the March Council resolution that Bowden Winicky just reviewed, all those amendments that staff were supportive of have been incorporated into the official plan. Those that were supportive of, but with modifications to wording, have been modified and placed into the draft official plan. And those that staff were not supportive of were not included. With respect to the Integrity Commissioner's report, there were 2 specific amendments that were specifically highlighted in that report. The first was in relation to our high density policies, and the proposed amendments changed wording requirements in terms of access to having direct high density sites having access to a collector or arterial road. It was a shall policy. It was proposed to be changed to should, as well to change a policy that also states that requires direct access again, as well as not drawing traffic through low density areas, and changing that shall requirement to if feasible. So staff can confirm that these amendments were not supported by staff, and so those particular changes have not been incorporated into the final draft of the official plan. The second policy amendment that was highlighted in the Integrity Commissioner's report was with respect to a policy that states innovative measures will be considered to promote the production of affordable housing, and such measures may include innovative housing designs. And the amendment proposed to add such as tiny houses and micro units. Staff were supportive of this policy addition to consider for the promotion of affordable housing units, which our official plan and the provincial policy statement does promote. I should note that it is the zoning bylaw that does put in the specific regulatory requirements in regards to unit sizes in conjunction with the building code. And so it will be more further reviewed and explored as part of the zoning bylaw review. But from the higher level policy framework, staff did not have any concerns with that additional wording. And so we have incorporated it into the draft official plan. But overall, staff are the opinion that those amendments that are incorporated into the plan do constitute good land use planning and are consistent with the provincial policy statement. And any amendments that did not meet that criteria, we were not supportive of, and they are not incorporated into the final draft official plan. And as Bowden had alluded to, we are just finalizing some final meetings with a few of the Indigenous communities, and we'll be making some final tweaks based on their comments, and then are looking forward to bringing forward a report and the final plan for council adoption at the end of August or early September. And we will be circulating that final document as well to the public and agencies, and hold it with a statutory public meeting due to the amount of changes that were made since the last public meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And does any member of council have questions with regard to this report, both printed and verbal? I'm seeing no questions. No one? Okay, we'll go to, let me come back to the recommendation. And this is to be received for information is the recommendation there. I'll take Councillor Townend as the mover. Do I have a seconder? Deputy, thank you. Mover comment?
Only my thanks to staff for both providing the written report and the presentation this evening. Just to reassure the public and to give the public an opportunity to know what's coming down the pipe and where we're at with the process currently.
Thank you. Seconder comment? No? Anyone else have comment? Seeing none, so I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you to the staff members for explaining that. And moving forward to emergency services, communications for consideration. We have a request from the Chicken Farmers of Ontario. And do I have any comment? Well, Council, what would you like to do with this one? Anyone? Deputy? Go ahead.
Move to receive and provide names to the clerk by July 20th.
And sorry, just for my clarity on the motion, that council should provide names?
If we have suggestions, we can provide them to the clerk.
Okay.
And by July 20th, so that it has time to be submitted if appropriate.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? I'll take Councillor Parks. Thank you. Mover, any comment?
I think I already spoke to it.
Seconder, any comment? Anyone else? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Are there any notices of motion or direct motion for this evening? Deputy, go ahead.
Thank you. I know it was mentioned that it could wait till the next meeting, but I'd like to bring this forward, the education development charges tonight, just simply due to timelines. So if that's permissible.
And absolutely.
Bring it forward.
and I thank you. And
And sorry, does the clerk have it that she could share?
Yes. I was just going to suggest I can share my screen.
Thank you.
Are you able to see that?
Yes.
We are. And I'll give council a moment to read through it. This has been presented by the county with a request to the townships. Just watching for people to have time to read it. Okay. So that is before us. Since this is a motion or notice of motion, first I will ask the deputy to make such a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. And Councillor Buderek seconding. Actually, sorry, before I do that, I need to have a decision made as to whether we deem this to be direct or notice of. Direct requires a 2/3 majority vote. And do I need a mover and seconder for that, Madam Clerk? No?
Just as long as there's 2/3, Your Worship, that shows that it's okay to bring it as a direct. I'm okay with that. It'll be recorded. It'll be mentioned in the minutes.
Thank you. Then on the question of this being a direct motion as it is timely, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. We have a majority, a 2/3 majority, so this can be a direct question. And we have the mover, Deputy Mayor, putting it forward, and Councillor Buderek seconding it. Deputy, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, thank you. There are a few blanks still to be filled in, but I'm sure that the director can fill those in. The only one that I'm not really sure on is the number of students that are in our municipality, but that I think is readily available to township staff. So those blanks can be filled in. This is, we kind of became aware of this. There is a legislation that does allow this to happen, but we were quite shocked at County Council to be able to all of a sudden just be notified that there was going to be a development charge within the municipality on all new builds, and without any consultation or even information, really. So it, for one thing, for it to just be assigned to the municipality to collect these additional funds was somewhat shocking, and lacked, in my mind, transparency. So that's why we were looking at this motion coming forward, which requests the minister to initiate a review and of the legislation and make sure that the legislation is appropriate.
Thank you. Seconder?
Just in agreement with the deputy.
Thank you. Other comments from council? I'm seeing none. I will add my comment in that I appreciate the deputy mayor bringing this forward. I actually meant to speak to him about it earlier today to do so, but didn't have opportunity to do so. Thank you for bringing it forward at this time. This has been an issue at County Council, and we previously were under the impression it would not be applied to the municipalities that do not have the benefit of one of these schools. And one of the discussion points there was that as property owners, we are all asked to identify, which school board we support through our taxation. And This is not relative to who supports which school board. It is relative to every development, every housing development in the municipality. And so it doesn't seem to work the same way as our traditional taxation has, thus the appeal to the minister. With that, back to Mover for final comment.
No, nothing further.
And then I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Come back to my agenda. Are there any other notices of motion or direct motion? Seeing none, right, we move to the consent agenda. For the purpose of convenience and for expediting meetings, matters of business that are repetitive or routine in nature are included in the consent agenda, and all such matters of business contained in the consent agenda are voted on collectively. A particular matter of business may be singled out from the consent agenda for debate or for separate vote upon the request of any member of council. In the case of a separate vote, the excluded matter of business is severed from the consent agenda. Each and every matter of business contained in the consent agenda is recorded separately in the minutes of the meeting. We have the consent agenda before us. Is there anything anyone wishes to separate? Councillor Parks, go ahead.
20.2, please.
20.2. Anything else anyone wishes to separate? Deputy, go ahead. I'm sorry, Deputy, we couldn't hear you.
Yes, there we can. 21.2.
21.2. Anything else from anyone? Seeing none, could I get a motion for the remainder of the consent agenda? Councillor Buderick, so moved. Councillor Parks, seconds. Any comments on the remainder? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. So we'll move to item 20.2, which is the Layer K Columbath Library update. Councillor Parks, you wish to address this?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank staff for working through what was going to be happening with the library while the renovations and the repairs are being completed on the Layer Cake Hall. I'm pleased to see that it's going to, for the most part, be able to remain open. So I just want to thank staff for that.
Thank you. And with that, I'll need a motion to receive for information. So moved by Councillor Parks. Do I have a seconder for that? Deputy, thank you. And if there's no further comment, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Any opposed? Motion is carried. And we go to 21.2, the town of Cochrane, and the deputy was the one who separated this one out. Go ahead, Mr. Deputy.
I'd like to make a motion to receive and support.
Motion to receive and support. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Townend, thank you. Deputy, go ahead.
Well, just when it comes to anyone potentially not being able to ensure their own health due to financial reasons, it is a concern. So with this, it's requesting that both the federal and the provincial governments work together to make sure that this is covered under the healthcare system. And I fully support that, since it is a very important test for men to have.
Absolutely. Second or comment?
Completely agree.
Thank you. Anyone else have comment? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is carried. Thank you. Which brings us to members' privilege. Is there anything under members' privilege from any member of council this evening? Seeing none, we can move forward. Upcoming meeting dates. We are not scheduled to have another meeting until August the 3rd, where we'll have C of A and Committee of the Whole, regular council on August the 9th, and then into September. Is anyone aware of any other meetings that are not on that list? Seeing none. Okay, we move forward to the confirmatory bylaw. Someone like to make that motion? And I'll take the deputy and Councillor Buderick. I think that was your hand. Any comments? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Thank you. Motion is carried. And a motion to adjourn. Always a tough one. Councillor Townend, seconded by Councillor Parks. Okay. Any comment? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is carried. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.